Hello, friends, and welcome. I'm Joe.
I'm Fioraliz, and this is the Esoterics Podcast.
Hi, Fiora. What is going on this week?
Not too much. It was just my birthday. No, we recorded this a few days, before this releases. So yeah, my solar return, and overall, it's been good. It was a nice weekend, and just relaxing with the family. Nothing crazy. How about you? I know you had your friends in town. How'd that go?
Yes, but first, yay, happy birthday.
Thank
Did
you.
did you get any good presents?
Oh, my kids gave me some really sweet gifts. Yes.
Oh, yay.
Mm-hmm.
So presents,
Yeah.
presents.
Yeah.
Listen, I know that it's not about the receiving, but it's sometimes about the receiving,
Yeah.
especially on birthdays, right?
Yeah, and my husband and I are gonna do like an activity because I'd rather do activities than
Go
have
do stuff.
things. Yeah, exactly.
I kind of would too. I'd rather go and have an experience and an adventure, than
Hmm.
actually, oh,
Yeah,
here's this lovely robe. Thank you.
sure.
The robe
Hmm.
you wear for 2 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, I had my one of my oldest friends and her husband come into town on Friday. And so there was zero work done. I didn't do any work. I barely checked social media just to make sure everything was running. And then we we went all over. I took them over Friday. We went to a really cool brewery, and then they have some friends that also live here, so we all met up, and that was a
Oh,
really
cool.
fun time. And then Saturday we just did things around Portland. It was funny because Lisa, that's my friend, she was like, "Are we gonna go to a bar?" I'm like, Lisa, you can't see Portland from a bar. So she didn't care. She's like, I want a beer and I want some food. She's kind of a foodie, so she was really digging the food trucks. She had like one of those
Oh,
sushi burritos for the first time.
oh my God, I love those things.
You guys, if you've never had a sushi burrito, they are the best.
Yes.
It's this giant sushi roll that is
Hmm.
never ending. They're delicious.
It's like a giant hand roll, basically. That's what
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
yes.
I actually had a sushi chef that told me because I used to go eat all you can eat sushi. He said the get the best bang for your buck, get hand rolls because you're getting the least amount of rice to fish ratio and you're not going to get full up as much. So,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
that's it. I don't know if they have any hand rolls. You could get these in regular size or
Mm,
mega size. And I'm like, what
okay.
the fuck does a mega size look like? Because the
It's
regular
wow.
size is, yeah. Um, let's see. So Saturday, and then we just did some fun stuff around town, hung out here a little bit. And then Sunday we went to the ocean. We went to the coast. So
Mm.
Manzanita, beautiful, and did like a loop and went up the Oregon coast. To went past Cannon Beach and Seaside and Astoria, and then came back down.
Oh.
And then I had to take him to the airport the next morning, so we got
Mm.
breakfast real quick, and so it was sad. I cried. I already missed them, but
Oh.
yeah, it was nice to have some of my my people here.
Yeah. Do you have a place like that you have to take everyone like when it's their first time coming to Portland?
I mean, there are different things and it seems to depend on different people. I
Mm,
mean, the
hmm.
big thing is, I like to take them like downtown and show them all the bridges, and go
Mm.
across the bridge, like the Burnside Bridge into like Old Town, because that's really where you see the iconic Portland sign.
Okay.
Maybe going across the bridge into Washington and Vancouver and stuff, but
Mm.
um, no, not really. Everybody's different. Lisa didn't want anything to do with touristy stuff. She wanted to tour the breweries and the food carts.
She didn't want some voodoo donuts.
No, she's like, ah, what? I guess. She's like, no, there's a bunch of homeless people out there. I'm like, those aren't homeless people. Those are tourists waiting to get in.
Welcome to coastal towns. That's how coastal towns are.
No, my God. Yeah, they were bad. The last time I went to Cannon Beach this summer, it was just packed and miserable. I hated it, which is why I didn't want to
Mm.
go back. But we did drive through this time so they could see it, and
Hmm.
it was really dead. Well, it wasn't
Mm.
dead, but it was. But I learned
Yeah.
something. So we went to Astoria,
Hmm.
and Astoria is where the Goonies took place.
Okay.
And so there's lots of Goonies. We went to the Astoria Brewery and they have all sorts of Goonies t-shirts. But
Uh,
but Cannon Beach is where Haystack Rock is, and that's where the big ship came out.
oh,
And it's a short distance between the two, but
uh-huh.
I didn't realize that it was it was just that stretch of the coast through the entire movie of the Goonies. So
Oh, okay, that's cool. Goonies, some
yeah,
Goonies trivia.
yep, I'm gonna have to watch it again just to check it out. So
Very cool.
what do we have any announcements? What's going on?
Yes, we do. All right. So we have Journey of the Wild. We still have two spots tentatively. So
Mhm.
probably more like one. We'll see.
Right.
Um, so that is our soul medicine retreat, and that is taking place November 5th through November 7th in Idlewild, California. And this is your opportunity to join Joe and I for a weekend of connecting to our soul and aligning with our higher self through breathwork, meditation, Reiki, Akashic journeys, sound baths, crystal jewelry making, so much
So
stuff, you
much.
guys, so
So
much
much.
stuff. um, and also get the chance to begin exploring with the plants of Mesoamerica. Um, so all our snacks, food, beverages, all that will be provided to support the weekend's activities. So it's all vegetarian, vegan to be in alignment.
Yeah.
And the space that we're hosting it at is a beautiful home
So
surrounded by
pretty.
nature. Yes. And so it's going to support, the feelings of peace, relaxation, comfort. So if you would like to join us, or maybe you know somebody who would benefit, visit the Esoterics Podcast website. That's esotericpodcast.com. And again, your enrollment includes accommodations, meals, snacks, and beverages, but it does not include travel expenses. But there are
Yeah.
payment plans available. So please check out our website, and you can message us directly through there.
Yeah, and join us. When you went to Idlewild for that weekend with your
Mhm.
family, did you drive by the retreat space?
No, I didn't.
No.
I didn't. Idlewild's not that big,
Yeah.
so I have a general idea of where it's at.
Yeah. All right. I was wondering if you saw it firsthand, but the pictures online are so gorgeous, just which is why we picked it.
I was going to, but then I didn't want to look like a stalker in case they had
In
cameras
case
outside.
there were people there.
hmm hmm
Hi, don't mind me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I have transferred my most popular classes to digital format, and I'm in the process of that. So you can snag them at any time. And I'm also working on an intuitive development course as well as a course to open your own Akashic records. And I'm going to be spending a little bit more time at the bench, which means I'm going to start creating some intuitively designed jewelry. I may open my bench up for a couple orders where I take a stone and I open up your Akashic record and I use your numerology and your sun sign, your astrology to design a piece for you that works with your own personal energy.
That's so cool.
It's so cool and it's so fun and it's just the best process. I don't like to take commissions because I want to make what I want to make, but
hmm
for these I get to make what I want to make, but it's based on your
Mm.
numbers and energy and astrology and stuff. So I think I might um, do that here, maybe one or two before Christmas. So
Awesome. All right. Okay. What are we talking about today?
we're going to talk about death doulas, ghosts, and earthbound spirits. This is October. What did I saw the word Spooktoberfest or something the
Oh,
other day, and I was like, all right, I guess.
okay. Oh, God.
Yeah,
We're
but
just going to keep making up words. All
dumb.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So today we're gonna get into talking about the spooky dooky stuff.
All right.
All right, so let's start by exploring what exactly earthbound spirits are, because there's a lot of questions surrounding that.
hmm
Are they ghosts? Are they residual energy? Are they restless spirits? Or are they something completely different? Let's talk about why these spirits are still here and then also how to help them cross over, which is sort of when we get into the topic of Death Doula, which
Okay.
is kind of a morbid name if you ask me. So
Yeah.
there's other terms for it that I prefer, which I'll get into later.
Mm.
All right, now because earthbound spirits no longer have bodies, they need a source of energy that's grounded in the physical in order to stick around, right? In order to be ghosts, they have to have a source of energy.
Okay.
And this is the reason why those earthbound spirits can be found in places with a lot of people, right? Like hotels, or in places where a lot of death has occurred, battlefields, cemeteries, funeral homes, hospitals. I am a freak for those shows on the Travel Channel, all
Uh-huh.
of them, right? Right now I'm like Into the Woods or something. That's such a good one. But whenever they have any of those paranormal shows, they're always taking places in like old deserted hotels, prisons, or
Mhm.
hospitals,
Yep. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because there were a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And now why? Why do they like all those people? Because if they don't, they need a renewable energy source in order to move around, move things, pull energy from us. We'll get into that too. So,
Okay.
they need a lot of people.
Okay.
What happens is they become confused about where to go. They don't know what's happened to them, and so when they die.
Mhm.
And so, this can cause them to become trapped, especially if they're not aware that they're dead. Okay. So, this is also why helping spirits cross over is a really cool skill for mediums and light workers.
Yeah. Okay. That's very cool.
All right. So basically, when a human dies and they leave their physical bodies, they usually just move into the light, right? Go into the light, go into the
Mhm.
light, just to go
Right.
home.
Mhm.
But in some cases, a spirit decides, I'm going to stay in the physical world. So they miss that opportunity to cross over into the light. I've heard that the light closes, but I've also heard that it never closes. So who knows?
Right. And I know, like, for me, for the way that I was raised, when somebody would pass, and this is, I believe it's a Catholic thing, we would go and we'd pray for 7 days, because the
Oh,
belief is that you need to pray for them in order for them to be able to make it through the light. Like, to,
oh, that's
yeah.
beautiful, right? Because a bunch of people bring them in and a bunch of people send them out.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, well, the reason that they get trapped, right? There's any number of reasons, but
Hmm.
what happens is that's the result. That's a ghost. That's what a ghost is trapped energy.
Okay.
Now, why would they be resistant to crossing over? Because some are just like, nope. Well, maybe their death was quick and unexpected, right? Such as a car crash or an accident,
Right.
and they don't know that they're dead.
Uh-huh.
That's very common. Maybe they need to stick around to complete some other unfinished business, right?
Yeah.
Revenge, maybe. I'm gonna kick that bitch's ass. Um, Maybe they fear judgment from a higher power. That's one that I found to be the most interesting. Is that a spirit's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that because I'm gonna get judged. I'm gonna go to hell. I was a bad person, quote
Oh,
unquote. Which
yeah.
you know they lose that once they cross over. There's no fear, there's no worry, there's no doubt or anything like that. But if we don't cross over, we are basically consciousness without a physical body.
I see. Okay.
Or another really common one is that they find it too difficult to leave the earth plane while their families are grieving, or they worry about how their loved ones are going to get along. Well, I'm not there, I've left a
Mm,
mess, all that stuff. So th-
yeah.
those are legit reasons, I think.
I've heard of all of these. Like, I've had like, not necessarily personal experiences, but I've heard, like, firsthand stories of people dealing with all of these. I know that a lot of these come up in movies, right? Where,
Mhm.
like, what's that
Ghost
movie?
is the big one, right? He doesn't want to leave.
He doesn't want to leave her.
Mhm.
Yes. But the Lovely Bones.
I know that was a good one. Such
Yeah.
a good movie.
Yeah, that. And actually, my Reiki teacher, we in Reiki, we were taught how there's a certain symbol that we can do to help somebody cross over. But she brought this up, and so she taught it to us. But she brought up that, the car crash thing. There had been an accident that happened, um, nearby her home. This girl, I don't know exactly the story, but she was like, ended up getting in a van with some friends, with some guy, and then at some point she freaked out, like, like the guy was going the wrong way or something, and she freaked out like he's gonna hurt us or he's gonna hurt
Mhm.
me, and she threw herself out of the van, and she ended up dying.
Mhm.
And she was at my Reiki teacher was at a gas station, and her, like, her energy came up, her, her ghost was
Mhm.
there, and she was confused, like, I don't know why I'm here, and
Aw.
she helped her cross over.
Right there getting gas. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so all of these, yeah, that's definitely. I've heard another way to put this, like how you said, it's consciousness without a
Mhm.
body,
Yep.
but also they can be lost soul pieces, which
Yep.
is
Yep.
same thing.
It's the same thing, but
Mhm.
it goes a little bit deeper because they're dealing those are tend to be lower entities or lower
Mhm.
level entities, and they're struggling. And it's not that they're lower level entities, it's that their vibration is lower because they're stuck in that loop, right? That's what a soul piece
Right.
in my teachings is that a soul piece is like a loop.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But okay, so as a medium, I can tell you that in all of my readings, I've never had an interaction with a client with an earthbound spirit. I just don't I've said this before, I could walk into a house and be like, "Huh?" Like no idea it's haunted.
Ah.
That's just not what I'm tuned to, but I have experienced earthbound spirits. One time in a house, there's this old man, and I hated this hallway, and I'm like, "There's an old man up here and he's mean." I was afraid to go down the stairs because I didn't want to push me, and then my friend
Ooh.
ran down in front of me. I'm like, "Bitch, don't leave me up here with this old mean old man."
Mhm.
And then the Turner Dodge House in Lansing, very, very, very haunted. And I was like, "Ooh, I got to get out of here." So,
Mm.
uh, Earthbound spirits, that's a good segue. They tend to be found in houses they lived in as a human,
Mm.
as well as other buildings and spaces that they spent a lot of time in, like places that they feel a familiar or a huge draw. And this is a common cause of haunted houses.
Yeah.
Very interesting. But yeah, you know, they're just a human with no body.
Right. Yeah. I know when we went to the Whaley House in San Diego, and I talked about this before, that Whaley House is of
Full of them.
full of them. Yeah. Yeah. There's too much. There's way too much stuff that happened.
What do you think they want? Like, why hasn't somebody gone in there and been like, go into the light? What do you guys want?
Because it's a tourist attraction and it attracts people. And I think, like you said, it's because it's a tourist
There's a
attraction.
lot
There's
of people.
all the people just constantly coming in and out.
Mhm.
So
There's a
they're
lot of
there.
energy to draw on.
A lot of energy they're feeding on.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of people, myself included, right? When I first started learning about all of this, and are earthbound spirits, are they malicious? Right? Are they
Mm.
evil? Are they demons? Or are they going to throw things at you and stuff? But
Mhm.
listen, it's not common. It's just not common. And there are so many psychic mediums that would tell you the same thing. They connect with beauty and love and peace and wonderful messages much more so than, oh, we got an asshole spirit, right? Like I told you about one
Uh-huh.
in that house. It's
Mhm.
just it's not common.
It's
Um
not common that they're
that they're
mean
malicious or
that they're
mean.
malicious. Okay.
Right,
Okay.
right, right. I mean a well-meaning it's much more likely that they're just like you or me, a well-meaning human who is afraid, confused, or dazed. Now, look at
Mm.
it this way: you have those people in your life or people that you know who are angry, mean, just mean old cusses, right? Or people that
Mhm.
are negative or just hate the world. It's
Right.
not that they're horrible people; they've just had really bad life experiences. They hate themselves or they hate their lives or whatever, and it comes out as anger, mean spirited, blah, blah, blah.
Mm. Mhm.
Same thing. That's what's going on with a ghost. What makes them scary is you can't see them. And so they could be trying to mess with you and you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I don't care for that. So technically there's really no reason to fear them per se, but
Okay. Okay.
I'm putting a little caveat there, right? Because who doesn't fear a ghost? Like, I don't want to
Mm.
even those damn ghost hunters on all of those paranormal shows, like they're like, "What the hell is that? What is that? What
Somebody
is that?"
scratched me.
Right, dude, you're there hunting them. What do you freaking want?
Why are you here?
Why?
Why?
Instead of like, "Oh, cool, look at this. Wow, I got a scratch across my back with 3 claws," which I wouldn't do that either.
No.
But anyway, so yeah, they're not going to throw chairs or shatter windows, and for the most part,
Hmm.
ghosts don't seek to scare us. And remember, I just want to put a little caveat here. Ghosts are different than poltergeists. Poltergeists are typically self-generated energy that is, through
Oh,
telekinesis and all that
I've
stuff.
heard
But
this. Hmm.
yeah, we'll talk about that some other time. Yeah, so they're just simply stuck energy that remains in a physical location, or they can attach to an object or a person. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
Ugh, like a creepy doll. I don't
Yeah,
like that.
Annabelle. Right.
Ugh.
Damn.
That freaks me out. I don't like that at all. And
No.
you know what? Where it comes from for me is because I grew up watching Chucky. Like
Mhm.
my parents took me to the movie theater. Yes, the drive-in movie theater, and we watched Child's Play. I think they thought because it was called Child's Play that it was appropriate for I think I must have been like 5 or 6.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah.
terrifying.
My parents they they did some traumatic shit to me
Your
like inadvertently.
your mom, all of your mom's stories crack me up. I
Oh my
can't even stand
god.
it.
So yeah, I'm not a fan of dolls and uh,
All right, so did you have nightmares? Like,
I just remember being really freaked out about the whole thing, about the whole like, and I hated things with stripes, and I did not like overalls. Like there was a lot like to unpack out of what came out of that because I was like, ah, no,
there's a series out now, Chucky. He's got his own series now.
oh no,
Yeah, he and Jennifer Tilly. She's like, we're back. All right.
oh,
Here's why any haunted doll stories are sort of like, fuck that doll, okay? Because first off, kick them. You can send them away from you, but they always sneak up behind you and cut your Achilles like the little baby did in the pet cemetery. And you can't hear those dolls sneaking up on you because they have those soft feet. So that's like fuck dolls. No, no, no dolls.
no, no
No dolls
dolls.
in the house. None. No. And then there's
Mm-mm.
people who collect those creepy dolls, like the Victorian dolls. Yep.
Yeah,
No, they're going to
yeah,
kill you in your sleep, so you might as well just
absolutely nope.
get
That's a
them out
nope.
of there. All right, let me go off on our doll tangent. Um. Okay. Now back to, are they malicious? All right. Now here's why it can feel like they are.
Okay.
So they typically project, a heavy, nervous, or fearful feeling because that's how they're feeling. Remember, they have a human consciousness. Now, like I said, I don't typically sense earthbound spirits, but on the rare occasions I do, it feels like anxiety, right?
Mm.
Others will feel them like a cold spot because they draw out your body heat. And so you feel cold. What about you? How do you experience like
Uh,
weird energies?
I only mostly caught like light orbs.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it just feels like a heaviness on my chest.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. All right. So, the ghost, or a disembodied spirit, or earthbound spirit, whatever you want to call them, they create a very dense feeling in the space.
Mm.
And if you walk into a room and you suddenly feel like that heavy blanket has been dropped, you may be in either the presence of a ghost or any remnant energy. Now, remnant energy it's like that's more of what we call like the loop, where it's this energy that just plays over and over and over. A lot of EVPs are, some will interact with you, but others are remnant energy. Like when you hear a footsteps,
Uh huh.
or when they pick up footsteps, or that's remnant energy.
Mm.
Mm. Which is just as freaking creepy.
Yep. Yep.
No amount of sage is going to get rid of that one. But anyway, but some earthbound spirits, they don't have a form and they're really not noticeable beyond their effect on energy. And that's really where I am. Like, I don't notice them.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I have not been into like the Whaley House thing we did. That was a few years ago, and I haven't been into anything like that really recently. I mean,
right.
quarantine and all that stuff. I haven't been anywhere. Um, I'm interested to see like
Yeah.
how I feel like I'm gonna be more sensitive to it now, and I'm gonna like feel like throwing up and not want to be in there.
Ah.
Like that's the feeling that I get. Like it's so like whoa. Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I went to lunch with a couple friends, and we went to a McMenamins. You have your own
Yes.
McMenamins experience, yeah. And we went into this. It was a McMenamins that had been turned into that used to be an old funeral home, and I was so
Oh
excited because
God.
I'm like, I'm gonna feel the ghosts. I'm gonna go into
Uh-huh.
the bathroom by myself, and I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
not a damn thing. It was like
Huh.
Cornelius, Yukon Cornelius, and Rudolph, like nothing.
I think you probably just have very strong energetic boundaries.
Damn it. No, I'm glad, but still. Okay, attachments. Now let's talk about attachments because they're not a bad thing. Now, listen, I've already sort of written up a little tangent that I'm going to go on. It's more like a venting session on psychic mediums who feed you a load of bullshit, but I'll get there gracefully in a minute.
Mhm.
So, spirits who take energy from those around them are called attachments. But the thing is that they can do this both intentionally and unintentionally. They don't know
Mm.
that they're doing it. So, when an earthbound spirit attaches to a human, what they do is they actually attach to their etheric field. And I've talked incessantly about how powerful that aura or that etheric field is.
Yeah.
It goes 15 feet out around us. It's got 7 layers, 3 bodies. Like there's plenty of space for a ghost to attach to it.
Yeah.
And so the reason that it feels so draining is because they have no physical form and they need a way to ground and recharge their energy. And they're using you. They're like a what are those bugs that attach to people and suck their stuff? Leeches. They're like a leech.
Mm-hmm.
So, as the spirit runs low, it feeds off energy from those that it can or from its host, the attached person that it's attached to. But now, when they do it unintentionally, that's when the spirit attaches to someone that it feels connected to, right? Like a family member,
Sure.
or a friend, or a total stranger, that they just like or find interesting. That doesn't mean that it's evil.
Right. Yeah. Like when we interviewed the mortician, and she
Yes.
said that that boy that attached to her, it wasn't anyone
Mhm.
she knew, but
Mm-mm.
it was like she had this connection because she stared at him for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was an episode on one of the paranormal shows, and it was this lady was a stewardess or a flight attendant, and she went to India, and the little neighborhood boys. There was one that was getting abused or beat up on by the local authorities there, and she saved him one day. She's like, "Come on, run!" Because they were
Uh-huh.
going to beat him for talking to this lady, and she's like, "It's just a little boy." Well, a spirit saw that and was like, "Oh, she's kind," and
Oh.
attached to her energy and followed her all the way back, to home, wherever that was in the United States. And
Mm-hmm.
then she started having paranormal experiences in her house, and she called in a medium because
Uh-huh.
she's like, "What the hell?" Right? And the medium was like, "Oh," and so they told her that she could stay, but
Mm-hmm.
that she couldn't attach to her energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put things out for her. They made an altar for her, and they
Oh.
honor her. And she said that it's a very copacetic um, energy, and that they can tell when she's around, and it feels very light and loving now.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
sweet.
I know that's very sweet, but me, I was like, go into the light.
Go
What?
into the light, poor thing.
I know.
Oh.
Oh well. Anyway, so they're not all they're not all jerks.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, now let's talk about psychics who tell people that they have an attachment. Okay.
Oh God.
Do you have any stories about that?
Oh God. Yeah, I've just had so many that just say this to people all the time, like, "Oh, you have this thing on you, and only I can remove it, and it's gonna cost you $4,000." Like that's like so many
Girl.
red flags.
Oh my God. I get so pissed about that because first off, it doesn't cost anything. There's no reason it costs $4,000. It doesn't take any time to, help unless it's, you know, a bigger thing in which, refer
Mm-hmm.
them to a shaman. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we'll get into that. All right. So, psychics who tell people that they have an attachment yet give no other information about the actual spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit. So if anybody tells you that that you have an attachment, say, "Okay, well I need more information." Okay?
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
freak out and just say, right? So then you want to ask some questions. So first off, These are people who have no fucking idea what the hell they're talking about and certainly shouldn't be telling people stuff like that. Zero.
Yeah.
A
Mhm.
legit psychic will be able to identify a spirit attachment and get information. And they'll do that either psychically or via their mediumship. And I've talked before the difference between a psychic and a medium. Okay.
Yeah.
Mediums interpret, psychics sense. They're more claircognizant. Mediums are more clairaudient. Okay. All right. So the first question should always be, who are you?
Mhm.
What do you want? What's your name?
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Yeah.
And anyone who charges you to ask these questions or just charges you to remove they're full of shit. Okay, so a legit psychic medium will help you without charging. Shh. I'm not going to say
Or
should because
charging
I don't.
extra than, more than you're already paying for their service.
Right. If
Yeah, it's like
like if you're doing Reiki and somebody and
mhm.
you sense an energetic spirit in their field,
Yeah.
first off, you're not going to send them off and be like, well, come back when you got $3,000.
No, just freaking shoo it
Just
away. It's just
go,
I
today.
think I do think that some people just make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yep.
Because I mean, like, so my mother-in-law was told by a psychic that she has some kind of like attachment and it's on her family line. And yeah, she was the one that was told like it's going to be like several $1,000s or whatever to remove it.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother-in-law was like, "You're full of shit."
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then I've also had a friend who went to go see a shaman, and the first thing she saw was like, "Yeah, you have an attack, but it was an energetic attachment.
Sure.
It wasn't like a ghost thing. It was because her mom had done some pretty like like dark black magic,
Sure.
so
Yep.
she had some just kind of like negative stuff attached to her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, but I'm gonna remove it. Like this is part of this, it was
Yes.
part of the session, like she removed it off of her. So, and in my opinion, that's normally how it goes. Like you're already paying for a session with this person, they see something, get it to leave, that's it.
Well, isn't that really what happens when you work with a curandera? Like
Yeah.
you're doing the limpia and you're doing all of the other things in there, you're actually cleansing the etheric field, the
Yep.
energy. You're sending ghosts
Yes.
away. Like go, be
Yep.
gone, get out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um. All right. So anyway, yeah, don't people please do not pay any money. Reach out to somebody that you trust. Find a shaman. Or well, we'll get into that in
There's
a
even
minute here.
stuff you can do yourself too. Are you going to give them tips on how to get rid of stuff?
Yes, absolutely. So we're
Okay.
going to get
Okay.
into that's when we sort of segue into the death doula. But
Cool. Okay.
first, right now, what does it feel like if you have a negative entity, or you've got a negative an attachment? Okay,
Mhm.
so in most cases, the spirit's negative energy or the attachment, if it feels negative, it's essentially absorbed by us as the human host.
Mhm.
And so, as their positive, basically, it's like having a parasite. I think I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
So, you might find yourself feeling progressively more negative as thoughts and times go on. Now, that is common, and that is a personal haunting, a negative entity. I'm not saying that I don't believe in attachments, but I'm saying that they're typically not as horrible or serious as they're made out to be, right? Where you
Yeah.
got to pay
Yeah.
all this money.
No.
So there are some signs that you might have this or that this could be happening.
Mhm.
And they're incredibly subtle. So that's why I wanted to cover this.
Okay.
So as a spirit drains and shares its negative energy, or it's not even really sharing its negative energy, it's just draining yours,
Okay.
um, worries and concerns and addictions and pains related to the way the spirit died can begin to appear in the human. This happens with Reiki
Mm.
practitioners, right? You can take on the medical symptoms of your client, medical empaths.
Yeah. Yeah.
So see, again, we're going to break this down to science. All of your clair abilities, your psychic abilities, your mediumistic abilities are all fired up, and you're going to access the information from this attachment using those abilities. But you don't know that it's an attachment. So you think I'm not gonna, maybe you're depressed or you're having physical symptoms or whatever, right?
Mhm.
There's a medical disclaimer is see a damn doctor. But all right, now an earthbound spirit doesn't take control though. Okay, so you're not being controlled by this attachment.
Right.
It's simply you're hosting it, which is not good. Even if it's a happy spirit, like it's got to
Mm.
go. It's got to
Yeah.
find its own. energy source. All right, now you might have changes in emotions and they can start to become intense and disturbing, which can lead to depression, anxiety, mood swings, and physical symptoms, right? And so if you experience these type of symptoms, consult a licensed medical mental health care provider for diagnosis and treatment. Okay, don't screw around and be like, ah, I got an attachment. Just
Yeah.
go see a doctor. So like I said, also remember the science behind being a sensitive, an HSP, an intuitive, psychic, or an empath. You simply need to claim your energetic boundaries and evict any energy that isn't yours. Now, I know it's not as easy as I make it out to be. I've been doing it for years. I can do it, you know, but consistency, consistency, consistency. The more that you do it, the
Yeah.
better you get at it.
Yeah.
And just tell the spirit, like Fiora's mom done. Get the fuck out, leave, go, you know.
Fuck out of this house.
The spirit is not welcome. They're not wanted and they're certainly not supported. And that's when you can consult, a curandera, a shamanic practitioner, or medium. Any of them can help with this
Yeah.
process. So,
Yeah, even what Sam said, because she does the paranormal investigations, and she
yeah.
said that a lot of the times they try to come home with her, so she just sets she grounds
Hmm.
her energy really well before she goes in there, and when she leaves, and then she also goes home and takes an Epsom salt bath.
Right.
Those are pretty simple things that you can do
Yep.
to clear stuff out.
Yeah, you just got to clear it out. So, but I mean, we're not simplifying it. We know it can be scary and all that stuff. But it's something that educate yourself before falling prey to lore or fear. All right. So that leads us to the topic of death doula, which, like I said, I hate that. I hate that term, but they're also known as end of life coaches, death midwives, and end of life guides, which I think
Mm.
end of life guides is really lovely. Okay, so what do you know about? Have you heard about them, Fiora? What do you know about them? Or
I've never heard of a death doula. I do know that I think in probably in Christian practices too, but I know in Catholic practice there's like the different rites that you go
yeah,
through, right?
yep,
And your last one is your death, the death. I don't know what they call it. I'm not a I wasn't a
sure,
good
sure, sure.
Catholic, but but it's your basically your death rites, like your last, so the priest comes, the father comes, and you do your last set of confession, and it's basically your last confession before you cross over. That's as much as I know as far as like things that happen or that services that people offer when someone is at the end of their life.
So there's a trend that has been happening a lot, and it's oddly enough. I first learned of this. It came up in an akashic reading.
Uh-huh.
She was a psychic medium, and I saw her helping people cross over, and then I was like, I don't know what this is, and Spirit said this is what's called a death doula, and the name just started popping up, everywhere. And then once I saw it 3 times after I saw it in the akashic records, I was like, what is this?
Mm.
So I learned about it. So because it started popping up so much, I needed to have some information on it to share with my clients if it came up. So basically, using your natural abilities to help and communicate with those in spirit is super profound. Oh my God, you guys, it's wonderful. And so what's happening is that many psychic mediums are being called to learn more about the process of passing over by becoming this certified, end of life coach or end of life guide or death midwife. So, a death doula is a non medical person, and that's important, non medical, who
Mm-hmm.
has specific training to help people care for someone at the end of their life. Terminal patients, I always think of terminally ill patients. And they assist in the dying process, much like a midwife or a doula does with the birthing process.
Mm.
And it's not just the crossing over. It's actually, there's a lot out there. Their whole programs. Visits with a death doula are generally done in the home with both the dying person and their loved ones. And the process begins after, they create a plan. And that can involve anything from A to Z, like
Uh-huh.
planning and gathering important documents and information. I mean, these are things that the people in the family can't do. Managing legal services, contacting an attorney to create wills and powers of attorney, beneficiaries, living trusts, all that stuff. They secure digital assets and then they'll plan those final arrangements. Okay, let's go back to digital assets because I I'm really not that person who's like, girl, when I die, you got to come and clean off my hard drive. There are people that are like that, right?
Yes, yes, uh-huh.
It
Yeah,
was
come clear my search history.
right.
Delete my social medias. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly, and that's what a death doula will do. But also then plan those final arrangements, right? Work with the funeral home and stuff. But here's where they really become one on one, where they conduct an end of life vigil. Basically they're present at the bedside during the final hours of a person's life, or they're there for things like talking to the person, reading and listening. Sometimes the family can't be there because they have
Mm,
jobs or whatever.
yeah.
Simply just sharing the silence or providing healing touch, Reiki, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, they're also serve as a supportive presence for the grieving family. And then they are trained. I mean, I won't say a legit death doula because remember, they're non medical and there are different
Mhm.
programs. But I guess if I were going to hire one, I would look for one who has had a grief training certification or something
Yeah.
because of all the different stages of grief and the encouraging, the family to speak about their grief is a natural process to help move that along. They just create this sort of safe, supportive space where the family can process their emotions and also then create a self care plan for the family so that the family can follow and prevent their physical and mental health from deteriorating while they process that
Yeah.
grief. So it's really a beautiful, process.
Yeah, that somebody can help. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, right? And so, I just think it's beautiful. Now, I will point out that there are, many in like the funeral industry, oddly enough, are not big they're more into the science of it. They're not big
Mhm.
into mediums and psychics, and they kind of laugh at it and have a disdain for the term death doula, which I
Mhm.
think is like, don't be dicks. Just who cares what they call themselves? They're providing a beautiful service.
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
This whole process can be so difficult because it's as much as death is a part of life, we're not prepared for it. Like culturally, we just don't
No, we don't
plan. We don't
celebrate it.
always we don't know, and we don't
Mm-mm,
necessarily plan for it
mm-mm.
either. I mean, I went through a lot of this when my dad passed away because it was, an accident and it was so sudden that there was nothing other than him having a life insurance plan, which thank God he had that. We had nothing. We had nothing prepared or planned or anything. So, and my mom was in such a state of,
Yeah.
you know, just extraneous grief that she had no headspace for any of it at all. So I had to do all of it. I mean, everything from uh getting all the certificates and making all those phone calls and even arranging the funeral and just everything, picking out caskets, which I'm just going to interject here and say like the whole funeral industry, like and that kind of stuff with caskets and embalming and all that stuff, such a fucking ripoff. Like I mean, my husband and I talk about this all the time. I'm like, just cremate me because all that is fucking bullshit. Like,
Yep.
I'm sorry, but it's
Yep.
just like, why are there caskets that cost $20,000 and other caskets that are $5,000?
Yep.
And why does it have to cost so much for some shit you're gonna put in the ground? Like,
Exactly.
just cremate me and put this body back into the atmosphere or whatever, let the bugs eat it, like let
Mhm.
let the natural thing happen. I
Let the
don't know,
natural thing.
that's me.
And there's people now where there's businesses or organizations where you can just get dehydrated and there's all these. Okay.
Like beef jerky.
I you get like put back into the earth somehow in the form of a tree. So
Okay, I've heard of that, and
yes.
I'm down for that. I'm down to
Yeah.
put my if you want to like somehow mix my ashes and make a little tree sap and like go make me a tree, that's cool. Like I will do that. Yeah, I'm just not down for the whole like there's so much stuff, so many components that go into that I'm like, why do we need this? And why do we even need to be embalmed? Even the embalming process
No.
is horseshit. Like we don't even need that. So, anyway.
Okay, so there is a group that I belong to, and it's called Stairs in Mortician. I've listened to it before because we met Daniela, or I met Daniela through there.
Uh
She was the certified embalming specialist, funeral director.
mhm.
I don't know, episode ish was when we first started the pod.
Mhm.
All right. And this group is really, they have a morbid sense of humor, but they allow zero disrespect. They don't allow stupid questions and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
people will ask questions like that, like, why is it so expensive? What are all the steps? And they answer, and it's very matter of fact. There's always a reason for it. So
Mhm.
for what's required, there's a reason for it. And I'll get into like a piece that I never knew. We're going to go off on a slight tangent here, but it's interesting. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that that justifies the expense. Do you know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
for instance, when a body is embalmed, and it's shown, right? So it's a viewing.
Right. Mhm.
They put the body inside like this plastic suit, and so that there are no leaks. But then they also wrap like all of these things, and they jam. They put, cotton in all the orifices. So there's a lot to prevent, and it's all done. All of this stuff that's probably going to cost, thousands of dollars just for the
Yeah.
preparation is
Mhm.
all done to prevent leakage.
Yeah.
Why do they prevent leakage? Because leakage stinks. It's
Right.
decomposition. So it's like
Yeah.
fascinating,
Yeah.
but still, it's like, I'm with you. Just
No.
fucking burn me.
No, I understand that embalming is basically for the family. Like it's
That's exactly what they said. Yes.
so that people can see the body after it's dead, but
Why is it so
like
expensive?
I just don't want you. No, I get it. Like people got to get paid for the work that they do. I understand that there's an expense. I'm just saying like don't do that to me. And
No.
like if you want to see what I look like, look at pictures of me and don't use a selfie of me.
Tell you.
Please. Please don't do that.
You have to make your living will. No selfies of me are allowed.
Just use regular pictures that somebody else took of me. Don't use my selfies. Please don't do that.
Isn't it hilarious? Sometimes some of the pictures that people use as like obituary pictures, and it's like, that's the picture that you picked? Really?
Or if, like, they use like the picture of that someone took with the Snapchat dog filter and you got the dog ears and the dog tongue. And I'm like, really? You put that? Like, you put that for her? Like, that's so fucked up.
Shut up. That's not real. For real?
No, yeah, no, I've really seen this done. Yeah.
Oh my, who would do that?
Because these are the pictures that are readily available of people sometimes. And that's what I don't know. It happens. So anyway.
Tell you what, anybody does that to me, that's one reason why my ass will not be going into the light, or I will come back. Like,
I'm be pulling and tugging at your feet at night. Don't do that.
I'll show up at the end of your bed with a big old grin that goes 4 feet wide. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's get back to the we'll call it the end of life guide, right? All right.
Mhm.
So helping spirits cross over. Okay, so it's nothing like you see in the movies, even on those damn paranormal shows, right? All mediums that specialize in crossing over, first off, it's a completely different energy, and I'll get into that. But if you're going to help spirit cross over, you may need to try various techniques to do
Mm.
this. Why? Because the reason spirit is trapped will directly impact how to help that spirit move on, right? You can't
I
use
see.
the same technique for somebody who chooses not to go because they're like, I don't want to be judged,
Mm.
versus the same person who doesn't know that they're passed over. Different
Okay.
techniques.
Got
All
it.
right, so here's some ways that you can help, or if you are have an interest in helping spirits cross over. So, first off, if you're not sure how to help spirits move on, The first energy that you can connect with your guides, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
guides can escort the spirit to the other side if it's in their highest good, right? A guide won't do something that is not in the highest good of the spirit.
Okay.
They can also direct you toward an intention or a prayer to help the spirit cross over yourself. Now, what I found is that some people do it naturally, it just happens. Others are guided to do this themselves because this is how they, quote unquote, find their purpose. They identify their purpose. It's a catalytic event where, in order to become a death doula or a death midwife, they must first experience it. And then that will unlock something within their soul blueprint. And they're like, I'm supposed to do this, which
Mm.
they wouldn't be able to feel that same feeling if they hired somebody to do that or whatever. Now, for some, crossing over can be really terrifying, like I said, because they fear judgment. So you want to gently inform that spirit that they're headed into a loving divine light. There's no judgment, right? Most of us are reasonable, and so I think that hopefully that works. A lot of the suggestions on how to help spirits cross over say that comfort is the best approach for earthbound spirits who are unaware that they're dead. They don't know.
Uh, uh-huh.
So let them come to terms with their death, but also communicate compassion as you let them know that they have nothing to fear. That would
Yeah.
suck. It's
Yeah.
like, wait, I'm dead.
Yeah.
What?
That's sad.
Well, shit. So you can also offer to help them find their way and encourage them to follow the light. Just use this is when you use your clear abilities to get the details of their current mindset, or use your empathic abilities to sense or identify the details of who they are, right? Information that can help you know how to best approach or help them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why, this is where you would take it inward and you would say, all right, what am I sensing from this person? What am I picking up? What are my clear abilities, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance? What information is coming to me in the moment?
Yeah.
Helping them cross over is really about encouraging them because they're scared, right? They don't know. And so there's just a little process that I've included, and I will include this in on the esoterics Instagram account.
Okay.
First, you're going to want to ground and center your energy. You're going to want to ask for help from your spirit guides, guardians, and angels. And you're going to ask the spirit if they know. First thing, do you know that your spirit has left your body? Because, like I said, if they don't know, that's the first step.
Right.
No, I have no idea. So if not, you want to explain that this is good news. You're like, okay, this is good news, right? You're going to do that in a kind and compassionate, but really matter of fact way. This is good news. You now have an opportunity to, go into the light. You'll want to gather any identifying information, like I said, using your clear abilities. You'll want to know their gender, their age, their cause of death. Um,
Mm.
because why? Because usually natural deaths are not traumatic and spirits typically cross over. So if they're earthbound, like I said, we talked about earlier, there's a reason for it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then ask their name and see if they'll give it. So, preparing them for crossing over just by telling them their spirit team has left their body, or that their spirit has left their body, sorry. And then it's time to go into the light to be with their loved ones on the other side. All of the sources say, yeah, tell them your loved ones are there. Go
Yeah.
find them.
Yeah.
Tell them to look for the people that they love the most and then go to them. So,
Yeah. When my sorry,
no,
my husband's grandmother was on her deathbed, she in the last day or so before she passed, she started seeing her son who had passed already. Yeah, she
yes,
started seeing her family members, and she was saying their names and talking to them.
yep.
So that's how we knew, because they were there to guide her. They were there to take her. Yeah.
Yeah, I read somewhere that once the body gets to that stage, it begins the death process. They're like in the perpetual alpha state. And so that's why they
Um.
can actually sense those fifth dimensional beings, and they can like literally see them.
Wow.
You know, I guess that's sort of a testament to how
That's
powerful the alpha state is.
that's comforting though.
Isn't it? It
It
like
is.
right, like it's not this horrible thing. I mean, nobody wants to die before their time, but
No.
it can be a very beautiful thing. I think our culture, like you said, just needs to start creating beauty around it versus fear.
Yeah, I think if I was, you know, old and I knew that I had lived my whole life and I'd done all that, then I would be happy to see, to see my parents, to see,
Yep.
my grandparents, and to see them
Mhm.
again.
Yeah, it's time. It's just
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
All right. Now you as an empath will feel it when spirit crosses over. So if you are engaged in, end of life practices and helping spirits, how you know that it's that the spirit crosses over is number one, you should see it in your or you may see it with using your clairvoyance, or you'll sense it with your clairsentience, or even your claircognizance. But use your etheric field, your body, your empathic abilities to really get confirmation, because there is an incredible surge of love, lightness, and a feeling of appreciation at the moment the earthbound spirit releases and they finally realize, oh, or they see the light or whatever. So this is them communicating with you, like their gratitude for your willingness to guide and help them. So it's very
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very, very beautiful. So
Oh.
yeah. So to wrap it all up, man, earthbound spirits and ghosts are simply humans who've passed over and have become residual energies, and some still have a consciousness. Those are not those that are in the loop.
Hmm.
They may be trapped or find it difficult to leave because of family, but there are ways to help them pass over. So it's sort of the same concept when you have a spirit that you don't want in your house and you tell it, get out, right? It's the same.
Yeah.
This one, you say, hi, who are you? Tell me a little bit about you. Let me help you cross over.
Yep. Ah, thank
Yeah.
you. That was wonderful.
Yay, you're
There's a lot
welcome.
of really good information on that.
It was, yeah, it was fun.
And
I mean, I could have gone the spooky route, but you know, I
no,
liked
I
this one.
I like I like this one. I feel like this is actually more most helpful because there's all these stories that come up around this time, right? Like there's all the ghost stories and all,
Yep.
these, but it's nice to have like it's almost like the background information behind like why is the ghost even here in the first place. So I like this.
It's very uplifting.
Yeah, we're not here to scare you.
Do you have anything for the closing vibe?
I do. Okay, so
Ooh,
this episode is going to be released on the 8th. So you're going to be like about 2 days out from the new moon in Libra. So this moon is very powerful for manifesting.
nice.
So with Libra, because Libra is ruled by Venus, and that's all um, aesthetic and beauty, but also relationships and harmony. So if you're looking either to bring more harmony into your life or to manifest a certain relationship, whether it's romantic or it could be a business relationship, whatever it is, this is a good time to manifest. So I just wanted, and Joe and I are just going to give you a couple tips on what how to manifest for anyone that this might be new to, or even if you've already been doing it for a while. It doesn't hurt to have a little refresher or even just a new perspective. So I just wanted to share that this is the kind of the prompt that I like to use when I'm manifesting for myself. And that is, what would your life look like if you already had what you desire? So this is where you get into a quiet space, maybe meditate beforehand, and then silence your thoughts for a moment and concentrate on this question and imagine, like, how would I be behaving if I already had what I wanted? What would my thoughts be? How would my perception look? And then what would I be doing to show gratitude or appreciation for that current situation? And then once you imagine yourself in that space, then accept that you are in that space. And that's pretty much just you're like fast forwarding yourself into manifesting.
Radical acceptance. Um, so like Fiora mentioned, this actually this episode will drop on the 8th, which is Friday, but the full moon and the new moon energy is most powerful 3 days prior and 3 days after. So you really, if you don't like, you can do any sort of manifestation or intention processes up to like the 9th, I
Yep.
think, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
so it's a still it's a good energy to be able to do that in.
Yes. And well, one last thing, when manifesting, it is important, once you do this and you put yourself in that energetic space, it's about concentrating on who you are and how you feel in that space. Don't talk about what's missing or what you don't have, whatever. This is about getting into the energy of where you're gonna be, and that's the key word of that fact that you're gonna be there. And then once you accept that, then imagine yourself as if you are there, and
Yes.
that's it.
Yeah. It's what I found the easiest way for me to manifest is to focus intently on my most persistent thought. So take that energy of focusing on, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, or the thing that I want isn't here, the thing that I want isn't in my life. And instead, have your most persistent thought. So maybe create a mantra or an I am statement, which is really, really powerful.
Hmm.
Something that once you realize that you're in that state or that energy of lack in your brain, that you can then make this statement to switch yourself out of it. And it's going to take a minute, right? It's going to take some practice. You might have to, this might take a week to get into the process, but as long as you do it consistently, it will change. It's the same thing as developing a habit. It's not going to take 21 days to do that. To figure
Yep.
that out. But
Yeah.
your most persistent thought is the reality that you will manifest. And Fiora and I have talked about this too. It's remember that reticular activation system, right? It's
Yes.
RAS, right? The
Hmm.
brain doesn't know the difference between reality and daydreaming or visualization. That's why
Right.
visualization is so badass at manifestation. So it takes practice. I'm going to be honest, so many people are do things like, and I'm not slamming these processes, okay, I'm just saying that they don't work with the science. Well, I'm not gonna say they don't, but writing yourself a check.
Hmm.
I mean, uh, it's fun. Or doing things like I don't know, jar spells, right? Those are, I think that those are things that maybe could be likened to writing in your journal or
Yeah.
writing affirmations or something. They're a process. They're doing something,
Yeah.
and but what's really going to manifest that thing in reality is your thought. What are you thinking about that? So if
Yeah.
you write that check and you're like, yeah, I want $1 million. Come on, man. I mean,
But if you don't believe it, yeah, if
yeah,
you don't, yeah. I think the writing the checks thing and jar spells and that kind of stuff is because certain people need the tangible in
yes,
order for them to really get into the energetic space. So I always say just you need to do what works for you.
yep,
That so if that works for you, like
that
do it,
works for you.
because yeah, so it's I think it's different for, depending on what the person needs.
Yep. Just make sure that those practices that you do, like you believe in them, because if you don't, then
Yeah,
they might be a little bit fruitless.
right.
Yay! So in October is a 1 month. It's a month of new beginnings. So all of the energy. So some really powerful days coming up are going to be 10, 10, 10, 11.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
see what else. 10. Um, any of the others? 10's. Well, for me it would be 10, 17, but um, 10, 10, 10, 11. I'm trying to think anything else. Anything else break down to like ones, like 111? Nope.
111. I That's a lot of math.
I know. It's numerology, which I'm trying to like incorporate, but yeah, 10, 10, and 10, 11. Very, very powerful days. So
Yeah. Wouldn't it be like 10/19? Right? October 19th?
10 and then 1,
That would
9.
be
That would
11. That
be,
would be an 11
well, that's
day
an 11 day,
month
which is
plus
still
one.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
10, 19 is a good one too.
you
Yeah.
guys do the math. I don't know.
All right. I'll stick to the numerology. All right, guys. Well, You can find us on all the socials under Esoterics Podcast, and be sure to join our Facebook community, the Esoterics group, where you'll hear firsthand about our services, events, and courses, as well as getting intuitive development tips, numerology tips, card pulls, free meditations. We have a free meditation coming out. This will be there's a meditation coming up on October 6th, but this
Oh,
won't be dropped in time. So
okay.
anyway, so there's a lot more.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend, and it would mean the world to us, and it ensures the success of this podcast. Actually, I just want to mention, even though we had the great blackout of Facebook and Instagram yesterday,
Yeah.
but we did add the podcast is now available through Facebook. So if you like the Esoterics podcast page on Facebook, you'll be notified when we get new episodes, and you can actually listen to them directly in the Facebook app. It just
Okay.
makes it easier.
It is so cool. That is so cool.
It's just easy. Just trying to
Mhm.
make your life easier so you don't have to download extra apps. Or if you don't like Facebook, whatever, Apple Podcast, we're all there. If you do
Mhm.
you listen to us on Apple Podcast, please make sure to leave us a review because we'd love to
Please.
feature you in our marketing.
Yes, those are fun.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing space with us today. Stay mystical, magical, and ready to do it again next week when we'll be talking about
Ouija, the history of the spirit board.
Ooh.
I know, spooky dooky.
Spooky, spooky. All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.